Welcome to Mike's Retro Curiosities, where we explore the wonderful world of retro games. Today I have a game that is very near and dear to my heart. This is the original Doom. Doom was released in 1993 by id Software for MS-DOS. As was common for a lot of PC games at the time, this game was released under the shareware model. The idea is that the game contains 3 episodes, but you would buy a disc from sort of your local computer store, which only contained 1 episode, and you were encouraged to copy and share that disc with other people for free, basically. And the idea is that if you liked that first episode, then you could either call or mail in, and you could get the other 2 episodes. I actually happen to have one of the original sort of shareware copies of Doom. This is very rare, very hard to come by. By the way, it's kind of weird to think of this game as virtual reality, but I guess this was the closest thing that they had to that at the time. So this is the first episode, Knee Deep in the Dead, and it came on 2 3.5-inch floppies. Now, before we go any further, I have to admit something, and that is that I absolutely freaking love this game. This game, it is so good. It's the heavy metal apocalypse. It's heavy metal. It's cyberpunk. It's demonic imagery. It's gore and ultra-violence, and it is so beautiful. Chef's kiss. It's a work of art. Now, this game was insanely technically impressive for its time due to its ability to sort of render 3D imagery at a time when this was not common at all. There were 3D games, but they tended to run very slowly, and they could only really run on very high-end systems. But Doom really made it kind of easy for anyone to run this game with even just a moderate rig, and it's all thanks to a technique that John Carmack developed called 3D raycasting, which basically it sort of tricks the eye by presenting 2D images in a specific way that it creates the illusion of 3D, even though the game is mostly in 2D. And this system definitely had its limitations. For one thing, enemy hitboxes basically went up infinitely vertically. Also, you couldn't have multi-layered buildings, so you couldn't have structures on top of other structures. Everything pretty much had to be, level design pretty much had to be flat. But still, this game looked insanely impressive for its time, and very realistic even. The game had a story written by Tom Hall that was originally going to be much more complex than what they ended up going with. They ended up very much cutting a lot of Doom down, and honestly, probably for the better. This game pretty much cuts out all the fat, and it's a very pure experience. It is exactly what it's aiming to be, and that is just heavy metal ultra-violence, basically. The game's levels were designed by John Romero and Sandy Peterson. Honestly, this game has fantastic level design. A lot of people sort of criticize it for its use of keycard hunting and maze-like levels. I've always loved that. I think it creates sort of very natural pacing where it gives you breaks in the action for things like exploration and sort of key hunting puzzles and stuff like that. The shooting gameplay itself, despite seeming somewhat basic by today's standard, is actually quite in-depth when you really get into it, and a lot of fun. Basically, like, each gun in the game has its own uses, and each enemy in the game has its own strengths and weaknesses. So during any given encounter, you're constantly dancing around the arena, switching weapons on the fly, and it creates just this absolutely intoxicating experience. It's a sort of ballet of death and destruction, and it is absolutely beautiful. The game's music was done by Bobby Prince, who was mostly a lawyer, and the thing is that he basically ripped off Pantera, and he used, and as well as other heavy metal bands at the time, and he basically used his knowledge of the law to basically figure out how much he could get away with ripping off without getting sued. Now, the Doom soundtrack is absolutely classic and legendary, and was actually kind of my gateway into the world of heavy metal music. Now, in terms of legacy, this game pretty much popularized and solidified the first-person shooter genre to the point where most first-person shooters released after Doom for at least a good couple of years were referred to as Doom clones. The game managed to stir up quite a bit of controversy due to its rather mature themes, the fact that it featured a lot of sort of blood and gore, as well as the fact that for the time, again, it was very realistic. So people looked at it, even though it's laughable today, people looked at it and thought, oh wow, this is just like shooting people in real life. One really cool feature in the original Doom that is easy to overlook is that it had a demo feature that basically allowed you to record it and to record playthroughs, and it basically put them into very small files, which was great for sharing them over the early internet. And pretty much this helped create the burgeoning speedrunning scene. And to this day, Doom is still a very popular game to speedrun. But of course, no conversation about Doom is complete without mentioning the absolutely amazing modding scene that this game has garnered. Like, seriously, people are, even to this day, still making just absolute masterpieces using the Doom engine. People have found all kinds of ways to create just amazing things with it. I've only really scratched the surface of it, but some of my favorites are probably the Metal Doom soundtrack mod, Brutal Doom, the Hell on Earth starter pack, which is basically a remake of Doom 1 and 2, and is just absolutely fantastic. Now, I have a number of different versions of Doom. It's actually my goal as a sort of a game collector to one day own every official version of Doom. So I've got the shareware version. I've got the Windows 95 and Macintosh versions of the Ultimate Doom. The Ultimate Doom was basically an enhanced re-release that contained a fourth episode called Thy Flesh Consumed that sort of helped bridge the gap between Doom 1 and Doom 2. There's the custom PlayStation edition. This one, it made a few changes. For one thing, it combined Doom and its sequel Doom 2 together. It altered the music to make it a lot more atmospheric, kind of making it into a bit more of a horror game, if I'm being honest. It also utilized more atmospheric lighting. Definitely a very cool sort of alternate version of the game. I also have this still partially sealed collector's edition copy of Doom that was released as part of a promotional event for Doom 3. It includes the Ultimate Doom, Doom 2, and Final Doom. And I have the Game Boy Advance version, which is honestly probably one of the weaker versions here. It was great for its time, like it was really novel to have Doom on a handheld. But unfortunately, it suffered from low frame rates, low resolution, stuff like that. They even censored some of the blood and turned it green. And due to technical restraints, they had to cut out some of the content, including 2 of the 3 bosses, which really was a shame. As for the best ways to play it today, I recommend either using the Unity port for simplicity's sake, or making use of some of the source ports that are available. My 2 preferred ones are Chocolate Doom and GZ Doom. Chocolate Doom is basically, it's designed to be as historically accurate as possible, so you play that one when you want the authentic original Doom experience. GZ Doom adds in a ton of quality of life features, stuff like the ability to rebind controls. It also has smoother frame rates, slightly improved graphics, stuff like that. It also has by far the highest mod compatibility of any source port, so I definitely recommend it for that reason alone. So that is Doom, in my opinion, an absolutely just timeless masterpiece. I seriously cannot get enough of this game. I've replayed it countless times since I played it in high school, and I'll probably replay it countless more times, especially as I get more versions of it. So that's about it for today. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.
If you enjoyed today's video and want more content just like this, consider subscribing to Game Sandwich for all your news, rumors, and reviews. And we'll see you guys next time.